Lashidele, Khenchen la, Khenpo la, Lama Kunchok la. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. So let's start with the mind mandala offering.
Hoàn toàn giải thoát khỏi những ràng buộc của chân và huyễn, siêu vượt danh tự và các tướng của sinh diệt và trụ, siêu vượt đến và đi, lấy và bỏ. Mạn Đà La tối thượng chính là cảnh giới tâm nguyên sơ. Chúng con xin dâng cúng tất cả và qua đó nguyện chúng con đạt được gia hộ để đạt đến cảnh giới Phật. Completely liberated from the bounds of real and unreal, transcending the names and attributes of arising, cessation and abiding, coming and going, affirmation and denial, the supreme mandala is the natural stage. By offering it, may we be blessed to attain the stage of Buddhahood. Om Guru Deva Dakini Ratna Mandala Pachisa Soha.
Sanjin Chodan Sojin Chonam Lai Chanchuan Pandu Dane Jabzun Chi Dagi Jinso Jinpe Sunam Dola Pinchen Dunpura Sho Sanjin Chodan Sojin Chonam Lai Chanchuan Pandu Dane Jabzun Dagi Jinso Jinpe Sunam Chi Dola Pinchen Sanjin Dunpura Sho.
Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the merits of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings.
Tevara Juranje, Donge Meben Deva Tamendra Juranje, Niren Chada Nidan Trave Danyamla Nebra Juranje, Manamga Nyambe Simjen Tamjen Deva Dan Deven Judan Dembra Juranje, Donge Dan Donge Je Judan Trevara Juranje, Donge Meben Deva Tamendra Juranje Niren Chada Nidan Trave Danyamla Nebra Juranje.
May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of the happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from which is free from sorrow. May they raised in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion.
Hanze awadan chujen shabatan jiso yerang gushen surwa ye gewa chungze dage jisam tamche zobe chanchu chenpo.
Whatever slight virtues I've accumulated through prostration, offering, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and requesting, I dedicate it all for the sake of complete enlightenment.
Sajien buchun chushen me todan zhezhe lenshe nede jimbande sanje shendo megde purva ye ndruga nam yendo jembar sho guso yunzo lame tonam lai chena sansun tejin yeje Dalu Longju Nansi Yongxian Be Lame Choge Ngudu Zardu So Wan Gurunde Dai Gene Rena Mendala Bardeza So.
The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme mountain, the four continents, the sun and the moon. As a Buddha field, I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha field. To the lamas who possess three kayas, I offer the outer, inner, and secret offerings with my body, speech, wealth, and all that is. And you will please grant me the supreme enlightenment. Om Guru Deva Dhakyani Ratna Mandala Padesya So.
Simje Namje Samba Dan Loye Chedra Chedra Chechon Tuman Tebaye Chujen Kolo Gulu So.
Please turn the wheel of Dharma of the greater and lesser vehicles, and the teachings come unto both according to the disposition and mental capacity of the sentient beings.
Kanji Gurve Jamson Jesoran Shankara Gavana Doran Zebe Gaji Rinpoche Jiva Nambran Tabe Jenjen Chinlabji Shujun Jazu Shembe Yandrasa Meji Manam Jajiv Yen Rwa Linje Tribe Duji Trima Mebe Lama Tamba Namla Chawan Sajin Juda Jabson Chiwa Sinje Labran Zedo So Dojin Chawan Dela Narada Marmata Bukarin Jideng Gajin Sunde Zavela Mesha Zaji Lama Yedam Judola Suvan Devzola Jushin Jilo and Jenzinga Datum Bado Sanje Gandamang Pardin Lamra Shira Tujira Tavelam Dum Yongze Shinye Namla Gajan Zar Lada Lame Mamje Wambota Jasin Lasu Shije Chola Java Jevana Sanje Sonra Rabdu Shije Deve Juru Juru Tedan Shije Tambe Shinye Baryan Drishi Namkada Nyambe Simje Tamjeje Tundu Tojalana Mebra Yangtabra Zuba Sanjiji Kumbang Bachine Jang Tobracha Ti Chedu Sonam Nabratava Sushindu Teba Samba Gomba Otendegi Go and Ninjubur Jivo Nyambe Samba Chanchun Churu de Liberasa de Sembra Shu Then Telander Kanji Sembra Cheve Chute Tinikare saying to Zaneta Sanje Jumdende Songbe 주지 풍부 제지시동 탐제되니 초직도 저 뇌내 댐백이 용 되는 공지 시셔와 같은 이슈를 제발 임발해
For the in order to try to get, for the sake of all sentient beings, for the benefit of all sentient beings, try to get enlightenment, and in order to get that enlightenment, we are here to listen the teachings of the Gongchig. And the Gongchig is the one which is the core essence of all the teachings of the Buddha, that is the 84,000 heaps of doctrines. So everybody here today listen with the bodhicitta and with the mind of altruistic mind. So listen carefully. Last word.
아테네 공지 기타 좀 뇌유도 전에 된다는 건좀 상하 나좀 테니쇼를 집에 가브레 다 상하기 나는 되네 토말 왕 기고당 되네 되나 신도 고미하기 제름 그 고당 네 조름 그 고랑 다치다 가상 되네 다 계전도 레버로 되네 조름 들어다 선제 조름 그 고르던데 용그래 세미 조름 그 고랑 유디 전에 세미 조름 고르디 조 따금 집에 총근하네 소용한다고 그러와 되네 선제 그 조름 텐도 따다 롱다 텔레라소와 다 텐조기 냐네 인도 전에 텐조 텔라 되네 칸데 컨디션에 다지 고유메 걸 단도르지 가상 공도 되네 슈바인 바다 트렌드네 도송 카르투요레스 인도 전에 되네 페치 구숨 제레라양 되네 숨가 창기요 소야다 팀바레 도송 피바데
Like there is like 7 vital points on this concept, and we have been on the point, the 5th point, which is the vital points of vows of the secret mantra. And last time we have talked about the empowerment, and also we have talked about the generation stage, the completion stage, and also we have talked about with the sign, the characteristics, and also the characterless, that is on the like kind of the channels, the vein and the bindu, the energy. So we have talked about it in a briefly. We have talked about channel, the vein, and the essence, the energy, tigle or bindu. So now here, right now, we are going to talk about the 20 Vajra verses that is in each of the three kayas, the other two are also present.
단 데네 단단데 고숨 지레라에 신이 창거리 소는데 자네 다 상하 이 투모마인 버세고나인다 상하게 거네 데네 소는데 자네 추 탐제 고숨 그란신 송거와 제다 추 탐제의 고숨 그란신 송거를 데네 라버도 단단데네 가리까모 용거래 세인데 자네 데네 먼저 예담게 징구르지게 나와 차자와 이남 데네 개바스나 당가도 남지 가시에게 시행도 전에 데네 징코르게 난게 답변나 덴초기 징코르다고 지이나 얍 콜로 덴초당 юм도르지 파모 데난신도 데네 덴초경 코르게 라당 코르 제바체바이나 덴초라 투줄라서 여러와 데네야 텔레소 드바 데네 신도 드바다 데네 용거 당가랑서 덴초 랑안다 지이나 데네 고르게 칸로마 제스다 용거와 데인도 자네 데네 되게 돌아 무슨 제시에서나 무슨 문제 나용도 자네 데네 얌콜로 덴초데 데네 롱고 юм도르지 파모데 추고 데네 고르게 칸로튼서 상만한테 뚫그레스네 찡코르찌게 나라 고숨데 다데 유반다고지 데네 시장게 용기요래 데인도 선호탄데 나와야 용 시바레 다 데나신도 데네 남자 준도 먼저 산지 주고다 롱고다 두고 세인데 자네 데네 단단데 다지 고고숨보데 타데임베인도 시징아도 랑신 길레데고와 두고 세인데 남산 샤샤토바 다우지라 문진 존도레 롱고 세인데 자네 데네 베나지 진레스다고 데네 주고 다른데다 돌진 장다고다 근데 쟤네 고지 카가카가 유반다고 지 상거로와 단 문분 내출 무유 내출 거원도 제인도 자네 추 탐제의 구성을 하신데 대인도 자네 먼저 징코르 찍은 난게 얌 콜로 된 좋다고 지나야 대양 구성을 하신데 용 돌지 파모양 구성을 하신데 콜긴 칸로 대양 구성을 하신데 대인도 자네 콘소 창마대 알라 구성 숨차르드네 창대왔다고 근데 지인데게 대인도 전에 단단되네 지된송 대송을 고숨 제레라양 선도전에 벤남 데네 룽고레 서주게 콜로덴조 텔라양 주고나 두고니 창도요레스 주고레 서주게 돌지파모 텔라양 고숨 창도요레스 대나신도 두고레 서주게 콜긴 칸로마튼 졸라양 고숨 그라이신레스 오다 대인도 전에 고숨 제레라양신이 창서야 대된바레.
So here, when we talk about in each of the three kayas, the other two are also present. So what it means here is, usually all the phenomena has the nature of three kayas. Even in the mandala, in a one mandala, so all these three are inclusive. For example, the Chakrasambhara, known as the father deity, and the Vajravarahi, known as the mother deity, and altogether within the Chakrasambhara mandala, there are around 60 deities and so forth, and there are also four kind of the daki, and whatever it is. Here, usually when we talk about the father deity, usually we take it as Sambhogakaya. And when we talk about the mother deity, like the Vajravarahi, we take it as Dhammakaya. And when we talk about its retinues, or like the khandrum, which means like the sky traveler or sky, and it's known as the Nirmanakaya. So whatever is this, usually, so we have some kind of notions, like when we talk about the Nirmanakaya, we tend to think about the Shakyamuni Buddha. And also when we talk about the Sambhogakaya, we tend to think about the Avalokiteshvara Buddha. And also when we talk about the Dharmakaya, we tend to have the notion of the Vajradhara, whatever it is. So what the Lord Jigten states is that, so within the one deity, for example, the father deity, it is both the Dharmakaya, Nirmanakaya, and Sambhogakaya at the same time. When you talk about the mother deities, it is actually the Dharmakaya, Nirmanakaya, Sambhogakaya, both. And it's the same with the sky dweller, like Khando, or its richness. When you talk about richness, it has also comprises the three kayas, that is the Dharmakaya, Nirmanakaya, and Sambhogakaya. Therefore, the reason why he stated that each of the three kayas, the other two are also present.
Oh yeah, tani tandan data tende yinsul condition re saya chirwa pena kurere yang ku sumge dani re saya yinsul de kanre so ing zane pena tane kolo dencho ta uji na ngowo tongbare ten zane chuji go sungge ngowo ge chane ngowo tongba chuji go tene tena shin dong kolo dencho de durjala nangyong ge chane tene durbe go sungge tene nawa te yang mangaba junmen chebe ran shindu nanju yuba indu zane tera tene longchu zobe go sungge te indu zane pena yam kolo denjo ta uji ne ya go sungge ran shin tene jin cha yung go yore tena shindu tene yum dorje phamo ta uji ne ya tene ngo tongba chugo tena shindu ran shin sarwa longo tujin gami to tene durjala nang songa ta u durgosne shego ro tene indu zane tene gosum re la yinda nire chang son도 zane tamda tenji chane ta gosum go tene jigla chang se ya desong go yore te indu zane ngam pena ji 샤자 되바데 도르젠창 창 요레스 양도 근데 계속 말해 단답가서 보고 꾸숨 세야데 문에 대응급 꾸숨 못을 시에고 그래 대응급 꾸숨 세는데다네 뭐게 차네 죽어서 시에고 그래 란신 살베게 차네 어떤던데 죽어서는 시에용 거 요래 근데 된다고데 nga바 매베게 차네 근데 롱거스나 소용 거 요래 근데 인도자네 근데 대응게 차네 뭐다 라 탐제데 꾸숨게 란신레 대인도자네 yam kolo dencho se de beji tombo jigdang korgin kangro ma se de zana mawo ji mare tamje de kusum ge ran yin balatni jiwares o ti so yore
So now reason why each comprises the three kayas. It means that when we talked about the father deity, that is the chakra samvara, when we talked about the chakra samvara, its own nature is emptiness. And therefore it is known as the Dhammakaya. And when it was appeared to its own disciples or its own followers, we can see that it appeared to be visible. So therefore it is known as the Nirmanakaya. And also the continuity of that is actually existing. So the continuation of that is there. So therefore it is known as the Sambhogakaya. So it doesn't mean that when you talk about the Shakyamuni Buddha, it doesn't mean that Shakyamuni Buddha is there at the present with the chakra samvara. It means the nature. It means the meaning, the meaning or essence of the Dharmakaya is there, and the essence of the Nirmanakaya is there, and the essence of the Sambhogakaya, both are there. And it doesn't mean that when you talk about the chakra samvara, it's higher, when you talk about the Vajravarahi, it's lower or something like that. It doesn't mean that. So therefore, each consists of all the rest of the other three. So this is the reason why he stated that.
Ta tene dene mata dorji song nishu tsachi pane ma kare song ngores na ta sangha ge gomja jezo ni yorwa ta kasan kondu shiba na shin jerem da zoram sina song ngorwa tende ge jezo ge nyamlen tela tene kesel da pondeng ge shamba chi yongorwa pena jerem la tene che kegi jön ge cha tenzo ba sariya ge tablam kare yimba zorim gombe kawla jön ge cha tenzo ba sariya ge tablam kare yimba ta tene chi gorwa kesel saya chi yongorwa tena shin do pondong gorwa 제름 태양 야 제름라 또바 땡르 조고로 야제 조고로 티나신 조르미야 티나진로 냠랭게 좀발 야제도네 산지게 공방토 고고로 어텐데 인도산에 tene cherem dang zorim ni gi kekser dang pongdang gi rimbate tan dere ma song yung yore de chi du zane ta de gi dorson nyerchi gwan de gi chi gi nguten la kar song yore sana sangha la ne chutem mekami se ya de song re teng gi chane kar song yore sana sangha gi cherem dang zorim gi kekser dang pongdang de kar re sana chutem re se ya de ten yore oh yeah.
So now here the Vajra verse is 21. In the secret mantra, discipline is indispensable. So here what it talks about is still up to here. Now from here it talks about the generation stage and the completion stage, and also how to avoid the obstacles and how to make it like the platform, the stability of that, the growth of that, the realizations. So when I talk about the like kind of the purifying the obstacles, and at the same time try to develop or to upgrade the stages of the realizations. So here what it means is it directly shows that in the direct order, it shows that the discipline is the utmost importance for the practice of these two, the generation stage and the completion stage. And at the same time, also, it shows indirectly about the discipline is important also here in order to like clarify, in order to protect from the obstacles. And at the same time, it is also the enforcement to increase your realization, or in like to improve your realizations. So therefore, directly it shows the discipline or the vows is indispensable to have it, and at the same time, it is also the like indirectly it shows that it's also important for the enforcement and also the solving the obstacles, resolving the obstacles. That's all.
That thing is an D song where you jump send out the carisna. Tene Tangan Namjun de Yerba, Nawase Xiji Yerba, Minxiji. Tangawa said it's an Sanganyam Chinking, Sangab Domanyam Chinking Sungurwa. The Indusane Tene Nansu Chorwa Nangla, Samlo Nangla, Karendoji, Nabatang, Tene Ta Gelhong Sayachi, Kejani Yerba. Mune Chena Nawa Sayagi, Meng de Pejum to Lel House Tangi Yurete, Tangi Chane, Mune Petsem Tombuchi, Nawasiduzane, Munechena. Karesana Pasayate, Dagdarwa, Na Pasiduzane, Na Sayate, Jerem the Zorim Ginyamne. Jezo Ginyamne la, Dingsu Yube Kansatela, Na Pasagere. The Indusane, Tere Mato Bechidan and Suchita, go G Kasur Chuando, this is a law, Taniaji. Shantavando, Tachi, Carbondo, Canade, Karina, Kandarji, or Tatando, Contentechi, what some jigone, now we tell a pitching munishina, to Mark. I was saying to Santanji Pondushu and Agendo, Jezo with Denga Demachi and Gotamajin, some what this on good. Nazunam Jipan and I was saying, O Tanga, Sanganyam Nichin case to Zanetanichi, Chantonayang, Tonchocho and Doji, that Karachena and Peche, Gange, the Nodaka and Menkendo Jilmunzurua, Tanjitin Temare. Tendu Sangha Nyamne Chinkina, Tentegi Nyamne Chinking Kansatela, Sutum make Camires, that Sutum della Yana Gening Sutum Nibber to Gure, Yana Gesu Sutum Nibber to Gure, Yana Gelong Sutum Nibber Gure, Tendutane, Sangha Nyamne Chinking Kansaina, that Tentegi Tene Dombasum, then Kanongjig, Yang Tabat Denkengi, Kansaji in Gures. Take a see Mesonina, Sangha Nyamne Chinking Kansajila, Gening Dombatsam me, Dombatsam Sum Motobaina, that dig Nyamne, Sangha Nyamne Chatu Mares, or Tindu, Sangha Nyamne Chebe Kanzala, Sutum Mekamere, say a Tesumbarda.
So here, when we talk about the mantra practitioner, here it states the practitioner means like who practice the mantrayana practice, Vajrayana practice or mantrayana practice. So when we talk about the mantrayana practice, usually we have the feeling that like it's easy to do because sometimes we take it even if they're allowed to drink wine or something like that. So here, when we talk about these, there comes about the it's easy to practice the Vajrayana mantrayana practice, but whereas when you talk about the monks and nuns so forth, it seems like we are preserving the vows and so forth. Usually what it means is when you're talking about the mantrayana practitioner, you have to have an account of the practicing the generation stage and the completion stage. And one should have to have the kind of conviction and also want to have like kind of believe oneself that one have a power to do that, practice that, to have one's conviction within oneself. So without having these, it is not possible. Whereas here, when you think about, even it's okay if you can drink wine, as you wish, means this is completely misunderstood. So here, what Lord Jignesh stated is that if you want to practice the mantrayana or Vajrayana, then you have to have at least the vows of the novice vows, or you should have like kind of the bodhisattva vows or the mantra, secret mantrayana vows. And at least you should have to have the novice vows. Without having these vows, it is impossible. It is not possible to have the practice of the mantrayana. So therefore, what it says is it is indispensable to have these two vows here.
Tani tandi kejachi kariyong kresana nganzo pena tanamju sosutarbe dombe nane domba jimba mawate genying domba sayerwa ta genying dombe ge sungjatla karsana tsawa shidang changdang nga ste sungurwa ta tani gesurdan gelongla soba indenwa ta te cheyundu tsane tani sangha ge nangla changtongcho sonya tande gi chidang sung tande yurwa 상한 창통고래 소녀한테 연구요래 때인도 저는 들은 간소 망치와 저기 하 왕슈 지금 냠랜도 테스트에서 전에 드니 배제 지금 창통에 이렇게 쥐면서 저기 선호 당도로 때인도 전에 때말에 단답에나 하기 중나라 창통고래 소녀하게 된다도 때 가르를 송고요래 세인도 전에 뎀초기 주난데 소녀도 배나 이게 되네 홍 세로 다 텐데기 미름라 때네 미바당 되네 누발라 때네 되네 창게 카도 줄통케 조와 줄통케 누바 줄통케 다 텐데기 강사지기 되네 지금 창되는 통화이나 양 델라 때네 대동기 이시야 제버체베게 도트네 차투그레스 대송게 때는 전에 창통케라 문에 제조하게 되니 네바 연ken지기 주요르마도베 상하냠네 지기 라와 점지 주요인데 지금 맨데요 때인도 전에 단단되네 되니 상하라 수좀 메카메레 소야는 네버도 다 텐조텔라 송요로와 다 텐데게 빼는 네바 연ken지기 창진 통제와이나 때되니 게술당 게홍당 게니게 dom바당 가르기요 말에 당연사나 때 나라 쪽에 파다베 교선 창난신지다 창직공 최제와래 때 이내 코란 경우에는 창차요 말때 두즈 차도요래 티인도 전에 다 텐데게 네바 연ken지가 공네 되는 창통고래 소야 등조거든 있어 티인마도 되는 기지다 창띠에서 통화달람산데 동바 주바테 마르보차 되는 계절시에부터 가 근데 차된 게 지라더니 창통고를 소냐 티켓에 인사 말에 티인도 전에 베네트루신 브루아 봤다고 지고를 송겨를 따때 용토사리 말에 수수다야로
So here and now usually when we talk about the individual vows, we talk about the individual vows. They are also like the lowest of the individual vows is the upasak vows. So it has four roots and one plus the drinking wine. It has to be avoided. The 5 vows are there. So usually when we talk about the sacred mantra in a practice, so we say that it's allowed to drink the water. Allowed to drink the wine. And in the Chakra Samvara Tantra, it has been stated that the person who is capable to drink the wine, only he can drink. And also the person who is capable is that when they chant Om of the mantra, when we chant the mantra, one is able to transform the color of the wine, and also once one could able to transform the energy of the wine and so forth, and they can drink the energy and also this energy into the form of the ultimate bliss and emptiness. So the person who could able to transform the wine into the nature of ultimate bliss and emptiness, then only you are allowed to drink the wine. So therefore, the one here which stated in the Chakra Samvara Tantra, you can allow to drink the wine, means it's only meant for such stage of the practitioner, not for everybody. So like this person, so if you look them drinking wine, it seems to be drinking wine, but from their own perspective or from on that side, they are just drinking their wine as a nectar, as a nectar and so forth. So it's not like something like ordinary people drinking the wine. We drink the wine, then after drinking wine, we become, our face turn into red and couldn't speak out properly and so forth. So this means you couldn't manage it. You cannot able to drink the wine properly. That means you are not supposed to drink the wine. You are not, capable of drinking this wine. So, for example, if you need to drink the wine, it has to be like Mahasiddhi Virupa, so who used to drink the wine, but at the same time, you drink the wine as a kind of the ultimate bliss and the happiness and also the emptiness.
Tene sabaradu tandan jiten songo ndiji sondawa dan jiten songo gambum nanga songyore kare songyore sende dan ngado cho tene tang kapsu cho gi zela chongchang dang tene cho gi sha cho sha tende yaya songyore tati ji nenjurba ngune jerem dang zorim la sobe toban tombo la pe dengen namba ina kunnesul kagare tepayu kanza changma jigwa marwa ta rimba mawo bena ngada ngandawa tene 제조하게 되는 냠내라 누바 매바 다 된대게 강사 등족이 지 초사고 요리 제바푸고 이런 것도 총거르고 요르와 때인도 전에 된대게 총거르게 제게나라 두즈긴 제틀라 오말도 송도 참말로 송래 대나신도 샤튼도 고야 요 말에 송래 초제신 이거는 되게 송바래 딱 계시 저랑 초기 제란 창지 루고 요나 당부처럼 딱 제체스 창대당 되네 찜번이보대 럭처랑기 천한 가리용도 네가 정말 임바 찍바 임바 된대기 네가 늦어 임베기 늦시 땜부지 저랑 선남 누드모도 됐다스 당보 계시 저랑기 찜바당 당도 남주 상하가서 늦은가서 되잖아 찜바당 자바당 다 등수대로와 아시아가도 늦은가서 되잖아 남주의 샤신보테 등도 막 다샤 메샤 치샤 등도래 테네야 테나신도 두즈 세인도 자네야 단단디 제친 제추 차 테일레 라소 같은 소테로와 데인도 자네 덴도 두즈가보 대당 창니보데 추랑기 롱올라 줄 삼노당도 자네 지변에 찜바로레스 달람사 베오 답베 초르스네 지 주바준로조 창세도 자네 칸은 치만 거대베게 초와지 유송아이나 만리바레스 데인도 자네 데니보트가 추랑 운내지 냠니도 따트베게 따와 양타바지 유나 되니 초기 제라 창샤나인 디그리 샤샤나인 디그리스 근데게 니바 주네메 베 짱조게 되니 베 남도 라고 슈침부지 유와이나 되니 dozila omade jana yagres o te sombar te zane sosu nutsu do ten go le chula ya de sosu la niba yugi la ya ko niba yuwa na jin chene rogu re ya niba megi ina niba mewa na jin chen rogu ma do chama chi ba marwa tende yin du tene sanje ge tyungkor gna de sondo le thangbo pe nejur ba na ji majis nejur ba nam ji chupto na ji majis chupto nam ji sanje na ji majis sondo tenduko kansaran sosoge tene ji nyamlenge rimbadan tumbe jebade jegu yusarwa o tende indu zane tene sangala chutre me kamere santar ngaran sunla tan dishuk chewa china tene damna warda.
So here in Lord Gyaltsen stated in his text, when we are offering, making feast or the talk offering. So there is a kind of, when we offer this talk, this kind of like substance. Sometimes we offer the wine, and also we offer the meat. So what Lord Gyaltsen said is, if you are yogi or Mahayogi, then like you are capable of offering that, then it's okay. Otherwise, a person like us cannot do that. We cannot. So rather than using the wine and the meat, it's better to use the milk. This is what he stated. So for example, if you want to use the wine for that or use the meat or whatever, then one should first think about it, whether one is capable of having the perspective or the understanding or the same feelings that like our urine and the wine is the same, whether we can take it as the same position, as the same status. Otherwise, if we take our urine as a very like kind of a disgusting thing, and then the wine as some kind of good and drinkable, then it doesn't make any sense. Here it has to be the same taste. For example, if you are having this kind of same taste, understanding of the same taste, and the same taste, feeling of the same taste, then it's okay, you can do that. Otherwise, you can't do that, because it's like same as like when you feel like disgusting for the like horse meat or so forth, because during the practice, it has been stated horse meat, and there are kind of 5 great meat, which also included horse and the human flesh and so forth. So these are all same things. This means actually you are capable of offering that. Means you could able to see these things in the same taste or the same nature. Then it is okay. Otherwise, you're not recommended to do that. And it's better you can use the milk rather than using the wine or something else. So even the Buddha, even in the like chakra, Kal chakra, it has been stated by the Buddha that like we should not act like, for the beginners should not act like that of the yogi, and yogi should not act like that of the siddhas, mahasiddhas, and siddhas should not act like a Buddha, because there is danger of having the downfalls. So therefore, this is what the Buddha stated in the Kal chakra.
That tege wala dorsong dirdawa debe parto jeban dong ha chi sta peche tunda chi bare deba san deyon songgerwa ta namju nganzo ngarang do san dang de zane ji sangha ka so deyon la long ju chogu yu ban do chi ta ya sangha gi jung de no song yorwa ka so sangha gi nyamlen de ta ta ngarang son do chi ne ko nyamlen changma de chi du so yorwa 문에 저는 산지기 드네 추송배 고름단지 된 송고 송가 난신이나 드네 람르바진도 로에도 개침물에 송배 티인도 전에 담보 소터기 냠네 드네 장섬 드네 상하선도 고르와 다단단 간조 동숨 지쳐도 냠네 신게 임베게자 인도 전에 드네 가르에서는 다 데베 파르트 제바데 동아 지바레 세계자의 연구요래 대송도 전에 나전 대연규 추좀 제바 다님바 제심바 롱가르와 리전 잠바서야다 남주 몇상매게 그 가사지르와 데베연데 서야데 대인도 텐데긴 대연 텐솔라 테네 롱스 제잖아 테네 따지 소소더베 domba 슈네 gel출 gel홍다오지나 따지 대연 롱스 조 초마레 서야로지 Tene sangha nyamlen chenge na ta kare ina che chogre se ya ta ru tende chi nga su ke yong go ta wa pe tende chi le yong go yore de chi du zane ji sotar ge domba su de pe busu topo nyamlen topo chi ng ngen chi yore wa tene sangha su du zane nyamlen pe ko yang bo chi ng ngen zo yore wa je de song go sana sona sotar le changsim gu do yore changsim le sangha de gu do yore domsong kong ne kong do do dang do song wa manzo dam je kare sano tangir sna pena Rachun Rojina Ta Pachu Dang Mahitan Rachun Rojina Rachugi Bugni Ma Rachugi Chilola Yona Jin Sanotangi Donsong Yamende Rachugu Bug de Pe Ihun Chunchun Yorua Rachugi Ma Zala Malesna Ihun de Bombo Yorua Tindane Domsong Yamende Tambu Pe Topo Tene Kale Kale Yang Yang Royan Sanotangi Yorua Jiden Songo de Songo Domsong Yamende Rachugi Nana Yan Jua Najin Sungere Toro no sungere. Te chidu zane tene ndoyon la lonsu jeba tegi tene parchu cheya de ndo nyamlen chingin la ya ndoyon ko parchu chugere sanga nyamlen chingin la ya ndoyon la chig cha shi shenbe ge loji je songa ina parche cheya la jigwa che jang le songbare. Dadong peche sanga go so parche chewa yong sigire. Wo tende yindu zane ndobe parchu jeba ndonga jis. Wo te song.
So here, when in the 22nd virtual verses, in the desire causes obstacles, the sutra and mantra tradition are the same. So what it means is, when you talk about the Lord Jigten Sumgyen and Buddha, when you talk about it, the practice, the method of the practice, it has its own stages. Like first you go for the practice of the individual liberations, and then you go to the Bodhisattvasana, and then you go to the sacred mantrayana practice and so forth. But whereas sometimes people think that when you talk about the individual's vows and individual practice, it is more stricter or more difficult to do, rather than compared to the Bodhisattvayana and Vajrayana. Because they think that when you practice bodhisattvas and vajrayana, it's more open and easy going. But whereas Lord Jigten Sumgyen stated that it's not like this, it's rather the opposite. For example, like kind of horn, from the root, it is a little bit open. When you're practicing like individual practice, it's like a little bit open. But when on the way to the tip of the horn, it becomes the stricter and stricter and become more narrow and narrower and narrower. So the practice of this is like something like that. So it is stated when you are practicing like the 5 kind of objects, like kind of taste, listening, and the seeing from the eyes and touch and all this. These are all kind of the practice. It's mentioned there during the practice, it's mentioned. So you have to avoid that in this, in the like individual vows. We have to avoid all this. So what Lord Jigten Sumgyen stated is that when you are practicing the mantrayana practice, it is even more becomes narrower, like a horn. You have to go from all the way like open to the the much narrower and narrower to the tip of the horn. It becomes even more narrower. So it's something like that. That means we have to practice. Like when you're doing the practice, you should pay more attention for this kind of outer objects, 5 outer objects of the samsara. Otherwise, there's no difference actually between like practicing of these 5 objects, whether you practice in the sutrayanas or the individual vows or bodhisattva vows or the mantrayana vows. It's all same. But rather, when you practice, go through on the stages of the path, it is becoming narrower, stricter, more difficult and difficult. So therefore, even when you're practicing mantrayana practice, you have to give more precisely on this.
Tene degi kolla tene da mema jarbo indambo de sta jarbo indambo de do sanga nyamlen chingenge tene pe nanjurba chembo tobam tumbo imba tene sungirwa ten tene jarbu indrambo de kunsamla jugdewe kabla tene khorange jamge ningon sutsik de pura peyongirta te pura peyong de zane tene jarbu ge seminala khorange jigda zumotela 이동 이게 남도지 제선도 섬나 다 주문디 이동 하신도 삼백에 초반도 지 제선도 전에 제네 근데 자보게 제문하신 지네 다 상하게 또번 통보인도 전에 줄바땡야 연구여와 근데 라바 자탐바트는 근데 지네 실랄랭 연구여대 근데 주모양 제조기 냠랭 연기 근데 지인도 전에 샤제 실라통도에 자탐바트는 근데 부용하다 그러나 이가게 섬나라 지 차베기 삼로지기 토네 되니 제목이 남바치네 되네 제용도 된 내용도 전에 되니 주신 잘렌다라 다 주신 잘렌다라데 배치 공 제부 인덤보디 되니 라마 다고지 인구에서 된도 전에 되니 갑전한다와 주란 얘기 제당당 상당다 된데르베스 된데게 토네 상하 냠렌지 제바이나 상하 강연 룩도 말레스 된도 전에 묘몽배랑 제베 돈의 상한 주야도 용마다 선에는 갑전나고 로지된데도와 어디 인도산에 다디 갑전나고 좀 센테야 대박이 대발라 차시 심바 되게 되네 상하게 제름당 조름게 냠내라 parche chigi yubegi jumsengone kapjunang ijirwa kesi parche kaya mewa ina ko kapjunang goyas ke mewa o tindu zane debe pardu jebon donga chigwa yimbi jumse tanzo sungre.
So here is one additional reason for that. And for this one, during the time of the king Indrabodhi, who is a great practitioner and yogi of the time. So one day what happened was when he was in the kind of a meditation in the retreat, and while his wife came to offer the meal, so he saw his wife, and in the core of his heart, he has a feeling that, oh, my wife is beautiful, and he has a feeling for that. And then so he tried to tease her in order to show like kind of his feelings. Then king transformed himself into like 1,000 arms, 100 arms, and he transform his hand into the 1,000 hands and try to receive the food from his wife. And his wife also was like a great practitioner, a yogi, that she also transformed the food into the offerings of 1,000 offerings together. So this way they have been like engaged into the like kind of their the inner the attachment to each other. So that time the Jalendra, the master, the great yogi Jalendra, got upset, and he told that this is not the way how you should practice the mantrayana. If you practice and if you engage in this kind of manner, this is not the manner how to practice the Vajrayana practice or the mantrayana practice. If you engage in this way, then you would never have been enlightened or to reach to the ultimate enlightenment. So this means it's stated there. So these are the kind of the attachments for our 5 outer objects, and therefore if you attach to that, whether you are in Sutrayana practice, Bodhisattvayana practice, or in the Mantrayana practice, it is the same faults and it's the same downfalls. It is for this reason it has been stated that all are same here.
Oh yeah, that in the autumn, this one the water son is somebody. Haji Megi given Juga me say at this one. Then this one do Tane Sanghagi Yamlin say at Tela, then I'm doing Yang, and so soon down Chila Karasung. So with Dombagi, then you're one in Yamin Chires. Chanju Sembegi Yamlin chain do Tane, you're the young in Yamin Chires. Sangha Gausu, you're the Jun in Yamin Chires, say that Nesung, Tinduzane, Lam Sumbotela Yang, Pongwegi Lam, Jangwegi Lam, Jurwe Lam, Stade Mengta Yungurwa, or Tenesung Jurwe Lams. This one does an epena 인데레스 얘다 소달 감다지나 녀몽 매제외 체도 유른 도연레 드고레스 베나 주 이동한다고 지금 통용와 있나 디주 이동와 텔레 나랑 드고레스 디인도산에 드네 유르파 뽕에기람세 드네 장추 선배기 까라 유르 이동와 따고 지금 통용와 있나 데드네 단디 텔레 드고 말레스 텔라 장고레스 디토네 드네지 녀몽바제야데 파 메버zo 빵워zo 드네고 유 이동와데 코란 유드나 켄nen가요 말레스 텐도산에 장추 선바데 이제 장외게 남바레스 드네 상가감다지나 유르 이동와데 땡고레스 데 코란 유르 이동와데 녀몽베기 람마임바 드네 예시기 뭐라서 줄투요레스 근데 인도산에 근데 줄베기 냠네 스트레치네 맹따용 거와 다들 지된 송을 근데 말에 송바래 난 지된 송고 송바래서야 말에 무유네스로 토네 좀생 가래서나 상하기 냠랭기 메게와데 이걸 줄투야요 말에 메게와데 메게와랑래 메게와데 메게와랑래 게와데 게와랑래 그러니 뭐 가가래 제레 가가래 제우 카가레 조 카가레 디 인도산에 제된 송고 송바이나 상하게 냠는데 장외기 라미 송바레 가인스나 디바 메게와 어떤소파 장고레 스턴소파 장네 데 대다기 랑진 모마데 카스나 드네 이시레 게와레 대송몬데 제고레스 디 인도산에 상하게 메게와 대가랑 게와라 주주 시마레스 데 요야요 마레 어텐드 하지 메기 개원주가메 세야테 숨바레.
So now the 23rd verse of verses. There's no occasion when the non-virtues of the mantras tradition becomes virtuous. So what it means is usually when they talk about in the general statement, when we talk about the individual vows, one should avoid all these outer objects, and we should protect oneself, the vows and so forth. And when we talk about the bodhisattva vows, we should purify, and we should practice the purifications of the outer objects. And whereas, like in the mantra vows, we talk about we should take it into account that outer object as the object of the practice. So, like we have been saying that for the individual vows, so we should avoid the outer object, which is like kind of attractive or so forth. And because of that, avoiding that, one should protect one's mind. And at the same time, when you talk about the bodhisattva vasana, so we should, it is stated that we should practice or we should purify that with understanding. And at the same time, here in the mantra practice, it is said we have to take it into account. We can take it into granted that whatever the outer object is good, bad, we can take into granted and we can make a practice. And it is said that for the mantrayana, there's no, some stated that there's no like kind of the non-virtues, because everything becomes virtuous. So whereas the Lord Jigten stated that it is not possible that the virtues becomes non-virtues become virtuous, there's no such condition, there's no such situation that the non-virtues becomes virtuous. Why? Because the virtue and non-virtues are two different categories, two different things, and its causes and condition is different, and its activities is different, and its nature is different. Somehow, how could we do that? Then it is stated that for the Vajrayana practice or the Mantrayana practice, one should take it as how to purify, take it this object, how to purify that, how one can purify that and to get rid of that non-virtues. Otherwise, you cannot take it, you cannot do this one. You take the non-virtues as virtues, and this cannot be, it is impossible. It's impossible to become non-virtues into the virtues because their nature is different. So there's no point that you practice non-virtues and you become the virtues. So this is why he stated that.
tene tegi oda dorson yisabji pade durbar megi ngason gemenjur sta tenzo tanda chigwardo kasnan durwe negabgi juen yimba pangja yimba tenzo tede sanga negasu langja yimba yenten yimba tende jur sigmares te indu zane ta tanda dodo de durwe negasu so jebate megeware so jeba ina tegi tene nyamnen dan garware tela tene dewu dunghe yungere tina shindu sangha nyamne chinge chige yang so jeba ina ta tela ngode megeware tela tene dewu dunghe yungere tende indu zane durwe negasu megewa hindebate sangha ge negasu gewalan sujigin jur tugmares teshil dubar mege ngaso angermen jur se tesom.
And here the 24th verses. What is the non-virtues in the Vinaya, all does not become virtues in the Mantrayana tradition. And it's the same thing, actually. It talks the same, the preceding the verses, and it stated that what has been non-virtues in the Vinayas, in the stage of Vinaya, also be non-virtues in the Mantrayana traditions. Like why? Because, for example, like whatever is the killing in terms of the Vinaya practice, it's a non-virtues. But whereas if it talks about in terms of the Mantrayana practice, it will be the same non-virtues. It cannot be the virtues in the same way. Therefore, it is stated that whatever non-virtues in the Vinaya also does not become virtues in the Mantrayana, because their nature, their causes and conditions, and their activities is different.
다 되니 dorsun nishu tsanga ba tegi nyamong tangde devar shibani ta tyan gecha chibare namju ngason nereji segro nyamong ba ngabote yishi nga yin seando yana nyong ba ngabote jawa ringa yin seando yana tenen samsang ngana so gaju gi nane namto chugu yin soyando tene yungo yorwa tin de tang da tensoge tenda de jeden sungu kar sungu resna 남도 추구인 소야당 님홍아 예싱아인 소야도 텐소데데 또베 강사직이 원도 치는 소이제 바레스 가스나 문에지 타다게 내룩 또베게 강사직이 원도 치네 내수로 또 언로도 전에 님홍바데 님홍 말에 님홍바데 예시레 송거데 남도데 남도 말에 또베 원도 치는데 남도데 추구인 송바도 텐데도와 ताते माइंबा 나랑소게 왕도 체인데 전에 녀몽바데 파 답은 되고들 같은 데워시바 인고래 손에 테마도 녀몽 대가랑 데워시바 인슬라와이나 데스 녀라 차오로와 띵도 계시 녀몽바 대가랑 데워시바이나 드린 나랑소 답해제드네 람냠네 지고야 매완로시그래 그래서 녀몽바는 야타주요로와 드네 데워시바이나 드네 배진 릭데완로시그로와 다 단단되네 nyamongba pa tha gores sangha gi thne ji jezo gi lam tensola tene nyamongba pa tha ne tende gi thagbe ranshin de karesna tene yeshi ngasana enda gongasana enda chugusana tende ji de yores tende zane nyamongba ngabo am yana nyamongba da ji duksumla so pa thagbe gi ranshin am thagbe gi ngogo kain ba dela tene devarsiba sna sumai bare se tesore nyamong thande devarsiba nis de modo nyamongba koran rang devarsiba yin shibete mai sore.
And here the virtual verses, the 25th virtual verses, the result of purifying the mental affections is the stage of a sugata. And what it means is usually when we talk about the 5 afflictions, usually we take its 5 afflictions or 5 ignorance as a wisdom. Sometimes we take it as the 5 Buddhas. Sometimes we take it as the conception as a Dhammakaya. And what Lord Jigusumi stated is, it is Dhammakaya, it is wisdom, and it is the 5 Buddhas only in presence of the person who has been realized, who has been enlightened person. Only, not for a person like us, individual person like us. It's not that possible. When you talk about the conceptions, only when you have reached up to certain stage that you can you are enlightened, then only you can take all these 5 emotions or 5 ignorance as a wisdom, Buddhas, and the Dharmakaya. So what he's stated here is that, and also in that kind of person, on the stage of those person, all these the 5 ignorance were transformed already. So they are all purified there. So therefore, like, if you cannot purify one's own ignorance, then you cannot say that ignorance is the Buddha nature. Only when this ignorance were purified, then it becomes the Buddha nature. So, like, for example, by the practice of the generation and the completion stage, and this kind of path, and one could able to purify one's own like 3 emotions, or at the same time like the 5 emotions or afflictive emotions, whatever. So when it is purified only, it is known as the Buddha nature. Otherwise, you cannot say that ignorant mind as the Buddha nature. Only the one which is purified is known as the Buddha nature. That's all.
Tene dursung nishu tsadrupade, tuten tsamne, unchu nawame saya tesongre. Ta tesongdu tsane, jidang tene, ta sanghagen nangla, laglengi tone sheyundu tsane, sanghagen tile ye saya chisongu yorwa, shewegen tile, tene jebegen tile, wangen tile, tabun tile saya songu yorwa. Tendu tsane tene ya, jik tabun tile tende jik songu tene sanghagen kapsu, tachi kansa marungba, kansa pe lega nontur kona che denken. Tendege kansa ina sanghagen tene chi tula soba tende pechu chene, ta sanghagen nipa pechu chene, tene pa seya ke choga tende yungdo. Tendu tsane tene tensu laglen tanne, tene chi sangha nyamne chinken chi yin lap tsane sonde tene chi ta yen parurpo soeba tang, yen parurpo la tene chi nyawar cheba la soba tendegen to jaya ki rikchi yuruwa. Te yundu tensu jitang sangha ke nangla song song yuwarite. Yin ya tenro songba tegi tenda andrawo tela tene keba yenda kesena ta sangha nyamne chinken ki kansa chigi tene pe kansa parurpo tensu lan to igone pa tene chi meba zogore, dawar chegore siya ta tende chi geja she yungu yore. Jiten songo songindu tsane sanghaage negabsu tuyi choga soba tene mambo chik song yore te yinna ya tenso nguyo so tene chigita lalen chene nibardo tene kansa shen parobo soebeki lela soba chegu ure shiwe tenda tsawane mares. Kesi penna sangha nyamlen chene lalen tene chi cheba yinna nubat tega tsaji tuyon tubya yore se sanghaage nubat tenbeki tsigri madobe sanghaage lalen tene chi chesho sebe tuyon mare sumbare tendu zane to tenba tsamle ngunju nawa mes ngunju su tabu gi lega tzore tagle cheya tenzo chesho a tenzo chewa yina diba yo mare sene sanjiga nawa tsawani na yo mare tendu sanghaage tuyi tone tene tabu gi lega tene chewa yina tene sanghaage tsawe tongan roya gi nika tene yungre sungere.
So here the Vajra verses 26, the powers are merely demonstrated, violent activities are not permitted. So what it talks about is when we talk about the mantrayana practice, sacred mantrayana practice, there comes 4 different kind of activities. There is like a peaceful activities, then the extensive activities, then also the powerful or power, the activities of the power, and the activities of the force, or like the like devastating forces, and all these things. So we have been saying that if the person is not in the right position, or the person is very mercilessly ill person, one should do this kind of practice and kill or crush down or make it like we can kill it, and we can make it like kind of remove this such person from this world and so forth, and using this kind of power of like activities. And what Lord Jivan Sungmin stated is that, and it's not a right way, it's not a correct, it's a misunderstood. So what is stated is in the mantra in the practice, that it has been demonstrated there, the kind of powers are demonstrated there, but it is not that we should use the kind of violent activities and to kill somebody else and to crush on somebody else or eliminate somebody else. It is not permitted. It's not permitted there. So it is just means to show that it is it is stated that with the power, it is possible that you can do this, but it is not allowed. It is not permitted there.
Ting na pena kesi pena sangagi choga pekyu chene tani paru polan tu jamne simchin shin seba ta wote nontur mena kesi sangaga so tani chi chowa te ndigi yona jewa te ndigi yona kesi tani chena yang gewa yingi yona tani jetsu malareba gi pe kale te khasa jago jumsen yomarwa jetsu malareba gi che su pena jetsu marpe gu kundun la nikale pe mambu jab ta soso gu so dang lue de changma de ben na zung ne tani ji da tambe chue dang de na jin do soso gu de de tan so pa ja ya ge che do ta pe ka wa na zo ba ka wa ja cha mo gu je we ge dang na nam tar de je ya yue de ba tan si ro wa ti yin du zang ne den ro de na we gi jum chen ro de ya de bo sha ya chi nang do wa je su mar ba ge ya je su mla la che ba de ga so ni je go ye jum chen de ji marwa korangi lega yabun duya chidu cheba chemndo korangi jesu melegi dibat jungya chidu cheba de jenando jesu marwa korangi sungre ngala kesin kamba yabuji jab goya ina ni kola kala yabote kejan himbo shin kamba de jab jugro was ngala kamba ke jab goya mes ina da korangi digdipe shuk chimbo sa cheba indu zane te tabar cheba chidu nge cheba cheba ins ta nima terene zonde ko nge tene ke segeta zowo de ins nge loma zowo de ins on jesu sondo tinan shin indu zane kesi benna sangha ge tene ji chue de pechu chene shin paro go so cheba la so ba tzo nipa da non chur tene mengi yona tene jesu mele chaba te ga chegwe jum chen yo mare marba ge shaba te ga chi chu gwe jum chen yo marwa ti indu zane tene tenso la sono tang indu zane sangha ge chue de pechu chene yin seba la so ba te 디바당 non-tree 좀 생기는 데 샤바 나인 거요와 어디 인도 되는 지금 송게 텐수 디바를 non-tree 대인자 상하게 되는 초같은 거 배주 간용만요 제네 되는 레간다마다 제바이나 되게 되는 뇨라 첨부 차이다 대인자 아 되는 다른데 투den자는 문제 나와메스나 대송바래.
And it's also stated that with such kind of the methods, use the power and kill the other sentient beings or eliminate other sentient beings, if that is kind of the virtues in terms of when we are talking about the Vajrayana practice, then why do we need, like, for example, the Milarepa has to undergo all this hardship before his master to get enlightenment? It doesn't need that. So what it means that with the this kind of practice, with the mantra practice, with the method, if you make mistakes, then it's a mistake. So that's why the Marpa has punished Milarepa in many different ways, building a house and so forth. And because of this is a mistakes, and this is a non-virtuous deeds or actions. And that's why the Marpa said that actually, if I need a house, then I may ask him to do it in a different way. But it's because of his own non-virtuous misdeeds. I have to treat him badly, and in order to overcome all these obstructions and all these evil misdeeds. So after what happened was, then after doing all this, treating all this, Milarepa been in a very different and very difficult situation, and ultimately the Marpa has taken him as one of the main disciples who follow his practice. And so this is why that even in the mantra and practice, it is not permissible. So if it's not that, if it is permissible, then these things would not happen during the time of Milarepa and Marpa also. So therefore, it is stated that the power are merely demonstrated, violent activities are not permitted. So this is the reason why it is stated.
Tene Tabardu Pena Sangagi Chude Jidan Taneji Sherabdan Jerwa Yinde Inrwa, Yamne Tamje de Sherabdan Jerwa Rede, Tabardu Tenetan de Sanganda China, Sherabdan Jevetone, Tebatan and Rewati, Nibordu Guru Series, Sangagi Chu Yamne Chingela, Tebadan Yichi, Nibordu Gure, Cousin Kondu Shumba, Teba Sunding Kansa Segre, Yana Yichi Sunding Kansa Gure, Sungur Sangan Yamne Chingela. 이치 숨대인 세인도 전에 배나 이담의 이치바 이담 콜로 된 좋다고 지금 줍자바이나 대진 줍송와이나 초던 투문고 우룹 탐제대 다 제시 자자 자타만가 토그레 선비 이치 유가지고 이담의 이치 가지고 와 디토라더니 겐로 이담 콜로 된 쪽이 민지기 원군게 프로젝트 티난게 와다 민줄게 담아 차상 난게 라마텔라 이치지 고요래 데마도 라마라 이치 메기 고지 원지 슈데나 되게 소소 유드 민투 말와 딘드 라마라 이치바 다 숨바데 소소로 이치 요고래 네 드네 하드지 두바이나 자자 자탐번 두기여봐 가르치는 누구요래서는 나랑 하이 란신인 베기 이치지 고요래 딘드 상하가수 이치 숨데서 에베 개체물에 딘드 텐데기 이치 가야메 대바다 다나야 가야메 근데 이제 상하게 추년에 지구에서는 봐 두수제한도 지나 야나 되네 베나지 라야비움 텐데 조르데바 텐데 곰네 뇌차단들 돈에 야비움 조르데바 곰데 안도 야나 되네지 샤당긴 돈에 라 타보 텐데 곰데 안도 때무그 돈에 라이 네스루 가야 마시바 고지 대바당 다난 가야 메바 지라 공구여서는 담으로 곰데바 이나야 되긴 간솔라 초당 투문궁으로 가야 뭐 톱송 거여데 대인도 제된 성공 같으니 진짜 많이 논데 송도와 라 뇌차제나 이단 주르스 라 공백가서 뇌차게 생겨 돈을 주는 하지 공대바이나 대주나 이달아 제와라 줄 찬우레스 대난신도 라 셰단 제나 녀런 주르스 앞에 셰단게 돈에 라 타보 벤 직수롱 같은데 곰네 근데 소소 마가사게 간사던 도지 토자게 등소를 미바치 안다고 다지 간사 바로 보세 두고 유미 대성물에 소소 니반 당기 말와때는 얘네 미바 대도를 제안로 용그러와 아니 란디 돈을 고지 콜라 나사지 나로지나 코 매와 차로지나 소양도 등소 셰단 돈 하고마세게로와 땡땡나지 아주 삼주 천주 강야 매와 다 하고도 요새네 지 라라 덴젠도 지금 곰대바이나 삼삼야 이 뇨로 차오레 디지털 좀 가시에서도 플라텐데 곰 라마텐데 지오로 곰인도 전에 드럼 비까서 고가는 마 타기만도 생겼는데 연구에서로 딘단 조파가 덴진 슈체테 군르와 플라 곰바탄 라마 곰바탄도 베지 나올라 동바든지 공구로 마도베 문에지 샤타게 랑신징에 사진 고가나 유대와이나 대단 연구는 마 타기 말와 디인도 전에 대ten데시는 라인 네탄 가야 메시 대바단 다낭내베트는 곰대바이나 근데 때문에 곰바 송거래 디인도 등수 던돌라 제베 주레스 근데 인자 대외 라라 자라지 송도한 디든 송고게 근데 인자 플라 곰베 가서 등수게 내수고 돌아 야부지 하고와체 소소로 문에지 대바당 이치지게 돈에 드는 라인 남바지 검투송아이나 대라 때문에 조던 투모금으로 상황줘야 요래 송바레 데인도 단단 내야 도된사면 눈주 나와메 세다 등소된 저기 경문래.
And also here it's additional complements and more when you do the practice of the Vajrayana or Mantrayana, it's required wisdom. And also, we need to have a kind of the three faiths, three kind of faith, or three kind of conviction within ourselves. The first and foremost is like kind of the yidam, the deities. One should have to have the faith in the deity that with this practice, one would be able to have, attain the Buddhahood or so forth. And the second is that one should have to have the pure conviction or the faith towards the teacher who teaches us, who show the path to practice the deities. So if you don't have the like a faith to the master, then it's very difficult to have the ripening ourselves or make ourselves furnished to become such kind of Buddha or deities. And the third is the one should have to have the faith towards oneself, that by practicing these deities, I would able to achieve such kind of state or such kind of like endowments or such kind of the siddhis. Otherwise, just practicing like kind of which was associated with attachment. If you do some kind of the Yidam deities, then it is said that like if you have, when you are practicing deities, but you attach to it and you do it like this with the attachment, then you would be being born as the hungry ghost. And whereas on the other sides, when you're practicing like kind of you know, the deities, the ferocious deities, and with the like kind of the sense or feelings of hatred or anger, then it is stated that you will be being born as in a hell being. And also, when you practice like such kind of the deities with the kind of not really understanding what is the core essence of practicing that. And there's a saying that when you are practicing with somebody, people say that when in a dissolution, in the stage of dissolution, some people say that when I dissolve the deity into myself, it's very difficult to dissolve it because it got stuck in my head, because they take it, all these deities, as a very solid or as a some kind of rough and tough. So that's why it couldn't dissolve into oneself. So whereas when you're practicing the deities, it has to be practiced in the form of emptiness and in the form of appearing at the same time, yet it is emptiness. So this kind of understanding is not there, then this is the problem. Even if you practice, then this becomes ignorant. And like if you practice, then you would being born as in animal realms. So therefore, when you are practicing all these deities, one should have to have the understanding of how it is done and what is the reason behind and what has to be taken into account. So this has to be precisely understood. Otherwise, it's not possible rather than these three other downfalls. Therefore, it is stated here, it's also seen, the violent activities are not permitted.
다들소 니잡된 바데기 dorjinyarwa narmilaso yin sayate tanganzo 상하기 드네 탐색당 가와 드네지 총인도 전에 드네 dorjinyarwa 라서 바라 지그레 송비로와 dorjinyarwa sayate 믹세기 남중 가랑 소다지 도이나는 송베기 nyarwa 찬여제 라서 바요로와 띵도 대가랑레 송바 때 마임베 dorjinyarwa say지 술도 출대와 드네케 마레스 띵도선에 dorjinyarwa Nami la sobe nyakam jebota tensolo kogure se tesonre.
So the 27 Vajra verses, it talks about, sometimes people say that the Vajra hell is something different from the usual one. And what the Lord Gyaltsen stated is that actually the Vajra hell is not other than the hells, like ceaseless hell, like for example, the 8 different kind of the heat, the hell of heating or burning hell or something like that. So it is actually the Vajra hell is not other than all these hells. Actually, these hell are the Vajra hells.
Aya. Tatene dursun nikzabjeba. Floben jutsun tona nyurdun den sayate. Dan dipe kechimu chayung gure. Di karisung geresana 당안조 상하기 람란 주버 체발라 든 로벤드 베케 쳔보로와 도르지 로벤 세야데 왕슈세기 다 로벤 테네티나진 제람당 조름게 테네 티난게 로벤 다 대송게 띠인디자네 제다테네 로벤당 Loma niga gingune tamsik sungu yorwata sangha tamsik sayade loma chigbu gu soya mare loma chigbu gu soya mare kesi penna lama chigdang tini churani loma dang lamegin rewaji cha charwa ina tini soya de kare sungu tamsik sungu yore Then kesi pena tamsik de masung ina karcha yungre sentana ten tanda kondu shebege dorji nyarwa sayada tanzola tene jene te dongye cheme wa tene nyong nyong wa tene ruwa ta nyongye jene nyongye bare di chidu zane tene ngazu tene wang shu long shu tene chidu lobun de lobun une chedenji tobegi nyamne yunken tu hinji chenbu gone jenge tuen chenken 또반 조도 주바 여장 소소기 유기 녀몽 졸denken 오 텐데게 되는 로번지 때야라와는 배순 제고레스 때때는 가르펜토 요레스는 로번 주수 통보지이나 주수스는 로번 또반 통보지 여바이나 다 저랑기 로번 데라 탐식지 냠송아이나 양 저랑한테 탐식 냠발라 때네 녀와 남미라서 발라 젠로레데 이나야 되게 난네 두수 뉴부지게 돈에 도르지 로본 또반 통보 연계 되게 얀젠 투그레스 대체도 전에 되니 로본 주 또반 통보지 여바이나 계산 대열에 숨바래 아 계시 로본 데라 또바야메 옛나야 상하게 왕다 tenso도는 제와직 차 되니 탐색 냥용도 전에 나랑양 냐외나야 장신군의 탈마투 로본 그냥 젠마투 Tene loban da loma niga maina tene nyamdo pebde niga tene yungres o tin zane tene ngunege toban tombu yebege tene lamaji tengo ere pe kechimures ta tenzo korde tene sani tagum jebe chongon la tene songyungire lama kandeji go yebate.
So here now the 28th verses. If the master's level of mind is high, he can quickly pull one up. So what it means is like when you're practicing, like when you engage into the path of Vajrayana, one should have to have a right person, the right master, a perfect master. And there is a samaya between the masters and the disciples or the followers. And both the masters and disciple has to have a samaya between each other. So if you don't follow the samaya, then one will fall into the hell. That is the kind of Vajra hell and so forth. And also it is stated that when the masters is a right person, who is fully accomplished person, and who is like furnished with the compassion, loving kindness and compassion, and at the same time, who is a high level of their realization, then it is possible that this kind of person can pull himself out from the hell realms. And if the person doesn't have this kind of power, or he doesn't have this kind of quality or the realization, then rather than pulling yourself from the hell, this person can go together with you to the hell. So therefore, we should have to have a right person or the perfect masters. So this is what it means here. And how to find the perfect masters and find the perfect master will be stated in the coming now, the vital point of view, meditation and kanda. So this will follow up in our sessions next.
Wala so tene nganzo tan degi tene sanga netu kap ngaba de tene shu tsarwa tene jirendu te tereng samde tene jana.
So now we have finished the vital point of vows of the secret mantra. So now today we'll stop here.
Yusu namde tamche zegba ni tomne nibe danam pamje de jega nanche balon juba sebe sole jo lama gungam zamwara surwa de jodo guze ringwara surwa tile darjen jebra surwa de lama dandarwa mebra jenje lo jambaram bawe chedran chembada kundo zambo deyan deshin Teta Gunji Jesu Dalu Jirgewan Teta Tamje Rabdu Ngoi Sanje Kusun Nyebe Chenla Budan Chunye Menjuru Tembe Chenla Gendun Mechen Tembe Chenla Je Chedar Nguyen Monlam Drubar Sho Dadang Kunde Tham Cheche Tusum Sabat Yube Geve Zavande Dadang Simchen Tamje Nyurdu Lana Mebara Yangta Bara Zobe Chanchu Rinpoche Dobara Juru Je Sheja Gunze Gunchen Chuje Je Tendre Nela Wantu Ndegum Rinchen Barje Demba Sende Xieru tu zang gongben zhenjuru je chanchu sanchu rinpo che ma je pa nam je juru je ba nyamba me bar yang gong ne gong pe war zhu la so.
Thank you, Khenchen La. Thank you, Khenpo La. Thank you, everybody. All the translators into multi different languages. We'll see you again tomorrow.
라소 라소 산이고난 제용 상마트시텔레.
We'll see you everybody tomorrow evening. Or Tashi Dilek.
Thank you so much, Khenchen La and Khenpo La.
So
Thank you, everyone.